We have multiple huge New York Knicks updates, and this is absolutely absurd, as Jalen Brunson is now being blamed for that insane Game 5 ref situation with the Knicks and the Boston Celtics. Meanwhile, Tom Thibodeau is being forced into a very clear decision to make here, and we are going to break this down, so a lot to talk about, guys. What's up? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into things as always. Guys, you guys have been killing it with the subs recently, and if you're part of that 68% that's not subscribed, make sure to subscribe to Knicks Digest right now. Thank you so much for 14,000 subscribers. It means the world. We hit our goal going into the playoffs. It was 14K. Now, Knicks are still here. Let's try to get to 15 by the time this thing all finishes up with, obviously, the New York Knicks winning the NBA Finals, that is. So let's do it. If we get to 15K, the Knicks will win the Finals. It's a good omen. But let's talk about some Knicks basketball, because Jalen Brunson is now being blamed for the fact that he put up those 5 fouls in Game 3, despite the fact, or Game 5, not Game 3, despite the fact that 2 of them, he got hit in the chin by Jaylen Brown, and somehow they were fouls on him. Brunson was notably upset about this. There was a press conference that involved this. I just talked about that in the last video I put out, so make sure to check that one out as well. But in regards to Jalen Brunson and the New York Knicks here, Brunson is now being blamed for this situation. He was visibly upset in this entire Game 5 where the Knicks, they're in a close Game 5, and then the third quarter begins. The Knicks are just getting ransacked by foul calls. And I've been open, and I've said that the Knicks have not lost this game just because of the foul calls. They did not play well enough. They played a poor game. It was one of the worst games they've played all playoffs, and they did deserve to lose. However, Tony Brothers made sure of that. He made sure the Knicks were not going to get away with this win, as the refs and the Celtics just were teamed up in that game. And I've seen some Celtics fans saying, wow, Tony Brothers wants to wrap this thing up. I have no idea what kind of game they're watching. I don't think they're actually watching the game if that's the case, but whatever. There's nothing you can do about it. But Jalen Brunson got called out for all this by none other than Reggie Miller, who said, look at the right foot. There's foot-to-foot contact. I've got to say I disagree with this, because I don't know if you're Al, what are you supposed to do if you're Al Horford? You're sliding your feet, your hands are back, you're not making contact. It's Brunson going forward, and then he kind of rolls that left ankle. So with foot-to-foot contact, apparently, according to Reggie Miller, it just shouldn't be a foul. We all know Reggie Miller does not like the Knicks. That's no secret. He hasn't liked the Knicks for a while, and the reason is because Reggie Miller is made up to be some NBA superstar legend who destroyed the Knicks because he had that 8 points in 7 seconds, or 7 points in 8 seconds, whatever it was, against the Knicks in a series that no one talks about the next game, because the Knicks won that next game and eliminated Reggie Miller from the playoffs. No one mentions it, but the Knicks won that series. And Reggie doesn't like that he lost that series. That's his whole legacy, so they try to hide that fact. It's not hidden well enough. We know Tony Brothers does not like the New York Knicks. This is nothing new. Tony Brothers has actively been against the Knicks for a while. I mean, one time Carmelo Anthony got 2 texts in the matter of 5 seconds from each other because he slightly complained about getting a first tech called by Tony Brothers. Who called the second one? Tony Brothers. What team were the New York Knicks playing? The Boston Celtics. Who was on the Boston Celtics when that happened? Well, Al Horford was. If I recall correctly, this is 2017, so Jaylen Brown was. Makes you think. Makes you think a lot. But whatever. That was years ago. Tony Brothers is what it is. In fairness, the Knicks went 4-1 when Brothers reffed games this year, so there is that. So, all this being said, the reffing was atrocious. We all know this. This is no secret, and we talked about this a bunch already. So, you now look at Jalen Brunson and how he's going to respond. The best player in the series has to make a statement here. The Knicks are up 3-2, and they're at home. This is where you close the Boston Celtics out. This is where you finish this thing off. And all signs point to Jalen Brunson finishing this thing off. As Tommy Beer mentions, excluding the game that he broke his hand last year versus the Indiana Pacers, which is the final game the Knicks played in Game 7 of the second round, in the 11 games following a Knicks postseason loss since Jalen Brunson arrived in New York City, JB's averaging 34.5 points, 8 assists, and 4.7 rebounds. The Knicks are 9-2 in those 11 games. When you do count that game, Jalen Brunson, the one that he broke his hand, Jalen Brunson is averaging 33 points, 8 assists, and 4.4 rebounds per game, shooting 49, 33, and 82, and they're 9-3 in that. So regardless, Jalen Brunson will be downright disgusting. On top of that, you look at in 4 game sixes that Jalen Brunson's played in a Knicks uniform, he's averaging 38.3 points, 6.8 assists, and 3.5 made three-pointers. Now, the Knicks were eliminated in 2023 in Game 6 against the Miami Heat. They beat the Cavs in 5 games, so they didn't have to face anyone there. Game 6 against the Pistons, the Knicks won. Game 6 against the Pacers, they did not. So, it's been up and down. However, coming off a loss, the Knicks, when Brunson doesn't break his hand, the Knicks are 9-2. And in Game 6s, Jalen Brunson averages 38.3 points and 7 assists with 3.5 made threes. So what I'm saying here is, I'm not advising you to gamble, but if you gamble, take Jalen Brunson's over and the Knicks to win, because it feels like a safe bet right now. I do think the Knicks are going to win Game 6, if I'm being honest. I just expect Jalen Brunson to come out and have that game that he hasn't had against the Celtics yet. We've seen Jalen Brunson just go for his signature 40-point playoff games. We've seen it all his entire Knicks career since he's been on the team. I mean, this is Jalen Brunson's 3rd season with the New York Knicks. Every single season that Brunson's played for the Knicks, they've made the playoffs as a 4-seed or a 5-seed or higher. On top of that, what we've seen is a New York Knicks team that has been good in the playoffs because Jalen Brunson has carried the load. This has happened no matter who is on this roster. It's been Jalen Brunson is playoff Brunson. It's a real thing. It's obvious that he's a real guy who just gets way better in the playoffs. He loves the big moments. And unlike my Jalen Brunson bobblehead that I got last year, he does not fall apart. Unfortunately, JB lost an entire arm, both his feet, and, well, he's still got his DoorDash bag going, so he's still got food, but he doesn't have most of his limbs anymore. But the real Jalen Brunson does not fall apart ever. So, basically what we're saying here is I'm expecting Jalen Brunson to have a massive game, but I need the New York Knicks to have a massive game as well, and that falls on Tom Thibodeau because there is a clear decision for Tibbs to make here. Let's take a look at it. Well, you got your star. You got Jalen Brunson, a man who averages 27 points, 7.5 assists, and 3 rebounds so far against the Boston Celtics. These numbers are good, but we're expecting to see better. Now, you look at the Knicks lineups. We're going to make this bigger, in fact, because I need to emphasize this point. These are all the lineups the Knicks have used for any span of time throughout this playoff series. The lineups have been used for over 5 minutes, so whether they're situational or something they actually look at in a rotation, this is what the Knicks do. The worst one of these, and the only one that has a negative net rating outside of the pure defense lineup of OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, Mitchell Robinson, and Deuce McBride, a lineup that they're going to have a negative net rating unless they do not give up points because they're only played at the end of games on defense when the Knicks sub out Brunson and Towns to prevent people from attacking them, is the starting 5. The starting 5 is a negative 16.3 net rating. You look at OG, Josh Hart, Mikal, Jalen Brunson, Mitchell Robinson, that lineup has a net rating of 12.3. You look at Karl-Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Mitchell Robinson, Deuce McBride, the lineup that's been used or tied for the 3rd most with OG, Josh Hart, Brunson, Mitch, and Deuce. All those lineups are positive net ratings. There is a common denominator here when you go down to the next one as well. OG, Mikal, Brunson, Mitch, Deuce. Common denominator. Karl-Anthony Towns, Cameron Payne, Mikal Bridges, Deuce, Mitch. You look at Karl-Anthony Towns, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, Mitch, Deuce. What's the common denominator here? It's Mitchell Robinson. Especially when Towns and Robinson play together. The Celtics are running a 2 big man set with Jason Tatum being out with the Achilles surgery. Porzingis is starting at power forward. Al Horford is starting at center, or the other way around. Whatever you want to say, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing for all intents and purposes. Positions hardly exist anymore. You have a 2 big lineup going on. The Knicks do not. Why don't you start Mitchell Robinson in Game 6? Surprise the Celtics with something they're not expecting. Put Mitchell Robinson, who has done incredible work against both Porzingis and Al Horford this playoff series. Mitch just had 13 rebounds last game and 8 points. He made all his free throws. There's going to be less team fouls at the start of the quarter because, they reset. Wouldn't it make some sense for Tom Thibodeau to decide, okay, because what we've seen from these lineups, and Looking at two-man lineups, things also get pretty interesting because, well, the top four, they're not really used. They're all 1 minute. They're just weird NBA stats because it's 2 minutes long. You know how sports go. But best two-man lineups. Highest net ratings. Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson. Jalen Brunson and Mitchell Robinson. Mikal Bridges and Mitchell Robinson. And Cameron Payne and, you guessed it, Mitchell Robinson. Mitch has been what he's always been. He's been this efficiency monster. Tom Thibodeau has a chance to shock the Celtics by benching Josh Hart, putting Mitch in that starting lineup, having the team fouls be at 0 when Mitch comes into the game, so you don't have to worry about Hack-a Mitch, because by the time they're at 6 fouls, they're either in the bonus way too fast, and you could sub Mitch out if you want for Josh Hart and have your initial starting 5 in there. Then what? Brunson draws fouls? Doesn't even have to be a shooting foul then. And he goes to the line. Mikal draws a foul. Doesn't have to be a shooting foul. He goes to the line. Karl-Anthony Towns has Jrue Holiday on him. Gets Jrue to reach in. Karl-Anthony Towns goes to the line. It makes sense for the Knicks to do this. It adds up for what this team should do. It's a matter if Thibodeau is willing to change the starting lineup for the first time all season when the whole team's healthy. Well, maybe not Precious Achiuwa. He's questionable with an ankle injury, but Precious has played a total of like 10 minutes this series, so, you know. If you do this against the double big lineup by running your own double big lineup, and Mitchell Robinson and Karl-Anthony Towns is much better than a very ill Kristaps Porzingis, who I really don't think should be playing because it worries me that he's coming out and on the bench and he can't breathe. I really don't like to hear that about KP. On top of that, Al Horford, who's been in the NBA as long as some of the people watching this have been alive. Why are we not doing this? It's time the Knicks make a change because it'll work. Guys, what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, and go Knicks.